Hi, Jarrod Dennis here, introducing episode 20 of Success Council. This week, I'm going to talk about the petrodollar system. So let's start with some history and what it is.
It's a term millions of Americans don't know, petrodollar. But the petrodollar system is the fabric that right now holds our economy together. The dollar became the world's reserve currency in 1944 at the end of World War II. Before World War II, the British pound held that role. Now, the dollar became the most important currency in the world, thanks to the U.S. having more gold and power than any other nation. But August 15, 1971, President Richard Nixon detached the U.S. dollar from the gold standard. The U.S. dollar no longer had gold as its backing. So what to do? In order to keep the dollar from crashing, because it was no longer attached to gold, the U.S. government attached the dollar to something else. Between 1972 and 1974, the U.S. government completed a series of agreements with Saudi Arabia to create the petrodollar system. Every barrel of oil sold by the Saudis had to be in dollars. Saudi Arabia was chosen because of its vast petroleum reserves and its dominant influence in OPEC, and the rest of the world followed suit. So the dollar, no longer tied to gold, but is now tied to oil. So how does it work? Well, it's pretty simple. If Italy wants to buy oil from Kuwait, it would have to purchase U.S. dollars on the foreign exchange market first to pay for that oil. Dollars for oil is a big reason foreign countries keep dollars in their reserves. Part of the reason we sell so many bonds around the world to finance our debt. So what if? What if another country wanted the same kind of world power over oil the United States has had for 38 years? Well, in order to do that, they would have to have huge gold reserves, a booming economy, and consume enough oil to warrant unhinging petroleum from the dollar into another currency. Enter China. What our media will barely talk about, the Chinese have now entered into 11 international agreements to trade products, including oil, without using dollars. China now has a currency swap deal with Brazil, Japan, Australia, Russia, and Iran. And get this, the deal with Iran, which produces crude oil but they don't refine any, it's just junk for oil trade. Because of UN sanctions on Iran, U.S. dollars cannot be used to buy oil from Iran. But that doesn't mean that Iran isn't selling oil, because they are. Goods including wheat, soybean meal, and consumer products are being traded by China and India for oil. One more thing here. For 38 years, the Saudis have protected the petrodollar, but that could change. The world's largest oil refinery is now under construction in Saudi Arabia, and it's being built by, you guessed it, the Chinese. China now actually imports more oil from Saudi Arabia than the United States does. If China becomes Saudi Arabia's most important trading partner, then why should the Saudis continue to only sell oil in U.S. dollars? So here's what this means to you. If China is successful in moving the world away from the petrodollar, and they are working toward it every day, everything made with petroleum, meaning plastics, gasoline, everything, will cost more. All those cheap products Americans love from overseas, they're going to cost more. Gasoline will be significantly more. You think you're paying too much now? Just wait. And that is Reality Check.
So yes, it's true that when the petrodollar system ends, we will see massive inflation in the United States. And this is because over 2/3 of all U.S. dollars are currently outside of the United States. As the petrodollar dies, those dollars will flood back into the U.S. at increasing quantities. In fact, it's already happening. For example, 9 out of every 10 houses bought in Los Angeles are being bought by Chinese investors who are eager to get rid of their U.S. dollars. I won't sugarcoat it. When the petrodollar system crashes, it will hurt the U.S. economy greatly, and those who are unprepared will get completely wiped out. However, those who take steps to protect themselves will have the opportunity to make a ton of money. I will explain that in part 3, but right now it's time to go to part 2 to find out the serious consequences that would occur if the petrodollar did not collapse. Click the link in the description to go through part 2.